Hey guys, Parfax here. Today I'm bringing you another New World video. Now before we get started, I do want to let you guys know that I will be streaming on Twitch for the first, foreseeable future. We're going to be streaming a lot when it comes to New World. We're going to be streaming way more hours than we typically were. And then on Wednesday night, we will be doing a New World giveaway. Yes, a full copy of the game, but you do have to tune in. I'm not going to tell you when, where, how. I mean, I guess I told you sort of when by telling you the day, but Wednesday, the day after launch, I will be giving away a copy of the game. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you follow me on Twitter, on Twitch, all that good stuff. And I mean, come on, hit the subscribe button, like the video if you like it, and dislike it if you don't. All right, let's get into the video. So I have played a lot of New World. I've leveled somewhere around 9 to 10 characters, and there's quite a bit that I've learned along the way. This video is going to help you out whether you've played the game a little bit, maybe you might pick up something if you played the game a lot, but especially for the people really looking to dive into New World for the first or second time. This video is going to go over 20 tips that I'm going to give you, the stuff that I wish I knew before starting New World. All right, the first tip is, and this one's we're going to start off pretty easy, but gather. Gathering is such a crucial part of New World. Even if you're not typically a gatherer, you really need to gather, not only for yourself, not only for the money that it can bring you, but there's going to be a lot of quests that actually you will have to gather for. Now, most of the ones that you have to gather for are going to be very, very low. You can gather stone and stuff like that. So if you don't want to gather at all, you will be able to get through most of it. You will have to gather at least a little bit for a few quests. But gathering, one, will let you do it faster whenever you're gathering. You're going to level up your skill, and it's going to bring in a lot of money for you. So even if you're somebody that doesn't really care about getting your gathering leveled up, especially on days 1 through 3, 1 through 4, there's a lot of resources that are very low tier that people are going to need a ton of. So when you see something on the ground, especially things like iron, any of the plants, hemp, boars, make sure you go ahead and skin them, mine them, use your sickle to pluck them, gather them. Make sure you do that because it's going to put a lot of money in your pocket, and who knows, you might find you like it as well. With the second tip, we're going to talk about make sure you level in your professions. Now, this is something that kind of goes along with the first tip, which is the reason why I put it second. And as you're progressing through the storyline, you're going to be able to be getting things like higher level skinning mobs. You're going to see higher level nodes, and these things are extremely valuable. So as long as you continue to level up these professions as you go, then you'll be just fine. Especially skinning is a big one. Because when you're doing quests to get mobs, sometimes you'll need to level up your skinning just to complete quests. But even if you don't, and let's say you're getting into, the higher tier zones, you're like level 35, 40, 45, skinning these mobs will give you a lot of either income or just give you the ability to start crafting some really nice gear. So make sure you level in your professions as you go, and don't do something like try to go back and do it, because you have to basically go through all the content over and over again, and it's not really gonna give you much of a benefit other than maybe killing the mobs a little faster. Now that we've talked about a couple things that are pretty self-explanatory, we're going to talk about one of the things that I've been, I don't want to say harping on, but I've talked a lot about in all of my videos, and that is animation canceling. There's essentially one that is very prevalent, and that is the weapon swap dodge, or you can sheath your weapon as well. I'm not going to go over it too much. I will put a link in the description on my video about all the animation cancels in the game. There's essentially 1/2. There's the animation cancel when you dodge. You can either sheath your weapon or swap your weapon, and it will cancel the stop animation off of your dodge. And then you can actually, as soon as you swap weapons, the moment you start to swap your weapon, you can actually use skills. So you can do things like, if you have maybe a charge from the great axe on your back bar, you can swap, and as you're bringing out your great axe, you can actually hit your charge and then charge forward. It's very important if you're looking to especially do things like PvP, but even in PvE, it's going to help you dodging mobs and trying to escape. Some of these dungeons, your tank's not going to be able to hold everything. This game's not like that. It's not going to be taunt, tank holds all aggro. Even if you're the tank, it's going to be, especially, important for you to learn these because you're gonna have to dodge a lot as a tank when you're tanking some of these dungeons. So make sure you learn your animation cancels to make that a smooth process. Remember, there's a link in the description down below that will help you out with that. Now, the next two tips are going to kind of also go together, and it's in regards to potions. Make sure that you're making at least the beginning level potions at the beginning. These can be done by gathering, I don't even know what it's like hyssop or something like that. It's a little purple flower you can find on the ground, and water. It's very easy, and it's going to give you a lot of health. It is something that's very good to use, especially if you're running solo. But even if you're in dungeons, even if you have a group, you don't want to have to be reliant on somebody to actually heal you. And it's something that I didn't do. And I was actually losing PvP battles solely because I didn't have potions. People were just chugging potions, and I'm killing people 2 or 3 times in a, in a 1v1 and then losing just because I didn't have potions. Now, whether you're PvEing or PvP, it is very crucial for you to actually get those potions and use them. The next thing on potions is remember that they stack. Now, I don't mean that you can use the same, you can't use like a weak and a common health potion, but as long as it's a different type, you can use them. If you want to have a health one on your bar, a mana one on your bar, and maybe a health regen or a mana regen, you can actually pop them all at once if you want to and have all 3 running. So make sure you put all of your potions on your bar that you can. Make sure you get different ones and use them as needed. Now, this next one on tip 6 is going to be a little bit controversial, and it's something that I will, reluctantly probably not follow that much, but flagging really isn't worth it unless you're doing faction missions. Now, you do get a 10% experience bonus while you're flagged. The problem is a lot of the areas where it actually helps you to be flagged, there's going to be contested. It's going to go along with the next tip, which is grinding regular mobs is a waste of time. So when you're doing these, you're not really getting the full benefit of that 10% experience, and the time you're going to lose by dying can be, I don't want to say catastrophic, because that's way too big of a punishment, because you don't really lose anything for it other than time. But if you die 2 or 3 times at one mission, and there's going to be a lot of people flagged at these big congested missions, you're going to waste way more time than you would have gained getting a measly 10% experience bonus. And that kind of goes along with grinding regular mobs is a waste of time, because if you could grind mobs and it could be very beneficial, then maybe flagging would be worth it. But 90% of the time I've found flagging ends up wasting you time versus actually giving you extra experience. Now, if you get in a groove, maybe you're in a group of 5 and you're running around, yeah, everybody flag, go out there, get your quests done, which we'll talk about grouping here down the list. But unless you're doing the faction missions that are the bottom 3 that require you to flag, I would not say that you should flag unless maybe you're in a group of 5 or more. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about deconstructing your items. One of the first things I did when I got into the game is like, I need money, I need money, I need money. What am I going to do? I'm going to sell my weapons to a vendor, sell them on the auction house, everything. Well, you can't really sell them to a vendor, but I'm going to sell them on the auction house. I don't care what I get for them, at least it's something. Right? Wrong. Make sure you deconstruct your weapons unless it's something very valuable. I deconstruct almost everything, because your extra picks, your extra swords, your armor, deconstruct them, because you're going to need those repair parts to repair your gear. Even at the beginning, maybe you're swapping out gear enough where you don't need it, but once you get to higher tiers and higher levels, you're going to need a lot of repair parts to repair your gear. Once you get, your legendary gear out, it's going to take a lot of repair parts. So make sure you're deconstructing everything you possibly can, because the little bit of gold that you're going to get from it's not really worth it when it comes to getting your repair parts. The next 2 tips are going to be on the marketplace. The first one is don't waste your money. This is something that I'm going to do, and I'm going to take advantage of people not knowing this step, but people are going to waste their money in the auction house. They're going to buy weapons that are severely overpriced. They're going to buy armor and materials that are severely overpriced. If you don't need it, try not to buy it. You can also go, and this is the next tip, check all the markets, because they're different. You can go to other towns and see if something's cheaper. You'll find there's some items for 2 gold on one auction house and 50 or 100 gold on another auction house. So make sure you're checking all of the markets and make sure you're buying as little as possible off those markets. I know if you're trying to level your crafting, I know if you're trying to maybe do some quests that need specific materials, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be better to actual gather them, or if it's really cheap, maybe buy a couple. But people will buy like stacks of water off the marketplace. They'll buy a bunch of the base potions off the marketplace, which are so easy to make. That was step what, 4? It was like make your own potions. People will be buying those potions on the marketplace a bunch. Now they are really easy, so people will start selling them for really cheap pretty quickly. But people are going to be wasting all of their precious gold on stuff they really don't need to. So don't waste your money by buying stuff you don't need on the marketplace, because most of the time you can get it really easily anyway. And then if you're going to buy something on the marketplace and it's something pretty big, make sure you check the different marketplaces because they are all different. Now we're halfway done with the list and we're on number 11, and it is make sure you lose weight before traveling. And no, I'm not talking about not eating that burger before you go on a vacation. I'm talking about making sure your bags are as empty as possible whenever you go to fast travel. This will severely increases the amount of Azoth it takes. And Azoth, once you start getting up there, is going to be one of the main resources you're going to need, and you're going to be one of farming, especially when you get to endgame. So make sure you dump everything you don't need in your storage or deconstruct it to make sure you don't have all that extra weight running around with you. Number 12 is grouping is better. Unlike a lot of games, it doesn't really punish you at all for being in a group. Most of your leveling process is going to come from getting quests done, and getting quests done is always faster in a group. As long as your group tags the mob, you're going to get credit for it. So make sure you go in a group, and let's be honest, it's an MMO, so we want to be grouped together. And if you have a healer, maybe somebody that's kind of tanky that can start grouping the mobs up, it's going to be a lot easier experience anyway. But we don't really get punished for being in groups, or we don't really get punished at all. And it's going to help you complete all your quests faster, and you're going to have more fun, so why not? Number 13 is hitting with your weapon once gives you weapon XP. What this means is if you're trying to level a weapon, let's say I'm running tank, which I will be running here when the game goes live, and maybe I'm like, you know what, let's level the life staff. What you can do is while you're attacking, swap to your back bar, hit one mob with a light attack on the life staff, swap back, kill it with whatever main weapon you're using, and you'll split the experience between those two weapons. It's a great way to level a weapon that you don't really have a whole lot of skill in. Number 14 is always pay attention to your armor weight. And this, again, goes along with our tip on 15. What this means is every piece of armor in the game has a specific weight. And in the game, there are 3 different thresholds. We have light, medium, and heavy. This isn't your typical MMO or typical gameplay where they're just different, give you different bonuses, where this one does, but you're going to find yourself wearing pieces of each. And there's different thresholds, and you'll see it on when you open up your inventory or when you see your armor. You'll have a little spot there on the left, and it'll show you where your weight is, where it's at, and you can even have a button that will bring up, and it'll show you all the benefits for having each one of the weight sizes or weight scales. Light armor is anything under 13, medium armor is anything under 22, and then heavy armor is over that until I think it's like 50 to be over encumbered. We're not in the game, so I can't actually look, but make sure you stay within those weight parameters, whichever one you're looking at. Light armor, you're going to give you a 20% damage bonus. Medium armor is going to give you a 10% damage bonus and 10% to your CC. And then heavy armor is going to give you obviously the most defenses and then give you 20% to your CC. But the big difference is the dodges. If you're in heavy armor, you don't have a dodge. You have an iframe that you basically stand still and kind of dodge. Medium armor will give you a little bit extra dodging, and it's kind of a short sidestep. But if you're in light armor, you'll be able to dodge a decent little distance, but you'll only be able to dodge twice. So each one of them definitely have their benefits, and you're going to see people running all 3, but make sure you keep in mind what armor you want to be in. And then a tip kind of along the same point is if you're not using a sword and shield, take off the shield because it goes towards your weight. I don't know how many times I've seen somebody run with, an ice gauntlet fire staff, and they have a shield on their back and they're in medium armor, and who knows, they probably could take off that shield and get right back into light armor. And if you're really just trying to push yourself into medium, then just wear some heavier gear. So make sure you take off that shield if you're not using it. Now that we're here at number 16, and this one is also going to be a little bit controversial, but it is one I will always stick home with, and that is put 50 points into con no matter who you are. The way I start my leveling process is I will always start speccing into my main stat until I can put 50 points into Constitution. The moment I can put 50 points in Constitution, I will respec my attributes and put it into Constitution. This will give you 20% increased health recovery from your potions, which I've mentioned a couple times. It's very important that you have. So it's a great 20% extra heal in your potions. It is amazing. I cannot put more emphasis on a quality of life of putting 50 points into Decon. And that actually rolls right into the number 17, is you can respec your attributes all the way up to level 20 for free. So make sure as you're going, you respec all the way up to 20. Now, once you get to 20, it is still pretty cheap to respec, so don't worry about it too much. But respecing your attributes up to level 20 is absolutely free, so use that as you will. Maybe you pick up a life staff and you want to put points into focus. Cool. Then you pick up a sword and shield. You're like, you know what? No, I'm going to put points in the sword and shield. You can just respec them for free and put them into strength. We're coming down on the list. We only have 3 left. And the next 2 I had on the list, I kind of combined to 1. So there was kind of 4, but we kind of put these 2 into, you know, just 1. And that is, you can alter your weapon scaling and your gear attributes. If you go to your faction vendor, you can find a piece of gear slot or a crafting item that will allow you to take that piece of gear. For instance, if you buy a medium armor chest piece, but you want to wear piece of gear with intelligence constitution on it, you can buy an item from the weapon vendor, or I'm sorry, the faction vendor, that will allow you to basically recraft that item, take off the dexterity constitution which it comes with, and you can make it to where it has intelligence constitution. Really good, and it is a must know for leveling up your characters and getting those gear. And then you can also do something similar to your weapon, except for if your weapon has a gem slot, you can put gems in there to make your weapons scale off of intelligence and focus. So weapons like the rapier, which do have an intelligence secondary scaling, you can put a gem in there to make your rapier deal fire damage and scale off of intelligence. It's really cool. Make sure you utilize it, especially if you're using something like the life staff. Number 19 on our list is to use your camps to cook and craft low-level items. What this means is you can actually put a camp out in the world for almost nothing. It is 1 flint and 5 wood. And you can actually cook your basic stuff on there. And I believe you can even craft some basic arrows and basic musket ammo. It's just a really good spot to use. You can avoid the taxes from any town. And it's a great way to really avoid some of the taxes in town. And it's a good way to cook as you go. The last thing on our list here is damage types matter. Now, you'll see something on the screen here, which is a really good screenshot. It tells you everything about attribute points. But the big thing is the bottom right, you can actually see a little arrow up, arrow down, or dash. What those arrows mean, and you'll see these on your character whenever you're in game, you'll see these numbers pop up like that. If you see the yellow in the up arrow, it means whichever damage type you're doing does more damage to the weapon or to the mobs. Sort of like, you know, if you played Pokemon, if you had a grass type Pokemon and you used a Charmander, right? You had that fire damage, does more damage. Not quite as extreme, but you get what I'm saying here. And then if it has a down arrow, it means you do less damage. And you'll see these while you're in the game when you hit a mob, and be like, oh, okay. Down arrow means it'll do less damage. You can look on there, see what types of mobs take what kinds of damage. And if you see just a base white number, just means you're doing normal damage to it. All right, guys, that's my 20 tips. There's a lot to pack into one little video here. I tried to make it pretty short and sweet. I didn't go over everything extensively. We have a ton of videos lined up. We have a giveaway coming up on Wednesday after the game launches. We're going to be streaming. There's massive news. You're going to see, if you follow me on Twitter, you're going to see some really big news this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. New World is a week away. When this video comes out, it's probably going to be Monday. So we will be almost there. We will be a week away. It comes out next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, everyone. I am so ready. I'll be online. I'll be playing. I'll be leveling. I'll be using every one of these tips. Maybe flagging isn't worth it. We'll see how much I abide by that one. But other than that, I will be using every single one of these tips, and I hope you guys find at least something useful out of it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and I'll see you in a tournament. Bye.